Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Wednesday, November 30th, 2022. I am Dave Biddle. Very happy joined by Matt Baxendell. All right, Bax, you're telling me there's a chance? Listen, we all overreacted, myself included, saying they had no chance and they shouldn't get in no matter what. But if USC loses, like, who does deserve to get in? Ohio State does. And the committee proved that tonight. Ohio State number 5. And yeah, we're recording this very late on Tuesday night, even though it's the Wednesday morning show. So like I'm very happy. Like, I'm happy to be wrong. I thought the SEC bias would like rise up and Bama would be 5 and Ohio State would be 6. Very happy Ohio State is 5. And now if USC loses backs, Buckeyes are in. Your thoughts?
You know, after all these years of watching SEC teams back their way into a playoff berth that they objectively didn't deserve, I will show no shame whatsoever if Ohio State backs their way into a playoff spot against Georgia. Look, let me call a timeout real quick here. Everybody who thinks we don't deserve a spot because we lost to Michigan, you're 100% right.
The 20-second timeout? 20 seconds? Okay.
You're 100% right. We don't deserve a spot. We lost to Michigan. But I'll throw this out there. Who else does? Bama?
No.
Kind of. End of the day, Ohio State is in the position we've always dreamt they'd be in. Getting a playoff berth even when we feel kind of icky about it. So guess what? Go Utah. Go Kansas State. Either one of them win and the Buckeyes are in as the 4 seed against Georgia and Atlanta. And you know what would smell really good to me as somebody who is currently very displeased with what is going on in our program? I would love for Ryan Day to have the opportunity to show me he's the guy that I always hoped he would be and believed he would be, and am currently concerned he's not.
If they got another shot at Michigan, it would be glorious, as we all know. Let me ask you this.
You know how you fix things? You know how you fix this shit? You beat Michigan in the national championship game. So guess what? You know who has 2 thumbs and is rooting for that? This guy.
Let me ask you this. Like, you mentioned this. Like, I think you kind of blew by it. Like, a lot of people are saying, even if TCU loses, they're in.
Why?
I agree with you. Go.
What's TCU's best win? Kansas State, who in this scenario would have beaten them in a Big 12 championship game? Kansas State, who is nowhere in the ballpark of Penn State, who Ohio State has a win over currently,
right?
And nowhere in the ballpark of Ohio State's loss, which is to a playoff team in Michigan. If TCU loses, they should be out. O-U-T. Out. Ohio State, look, guys, I agree with every single person who's watching this, and their head is exploding, and there's blood splurting everywhere, that we don't deserve a spot because we lost to Michigan. I agree with you. But to every other basic, normal human metric, the reality is Ohio State is the team to get the 4th spot if USC or TCU loses. There is zero debate. If TCU loses, deuces. If USC loses, 2 losses, don't even talk to me. Ohio State will be in the playoffs. So right now, guys, if you're a Buckeye fan, you know who you should be a big fan of? The Utah Utes and the Kansas State Wildcats. That simple. Go purple, go red team that we beat last year in the Rose Bowl. That simple. That simple. And maybe we can get some redemption for the last 2 years of mistakes against that team up north.
So where mentally does Ohio State go from here? Like, I feel like their players probably felt like, okay, we're done till like some meaningless bowl game. I mean, like, mentally, where are they at here? Like, let's hope when Sunday rolls around that they're in this playoff and they just get rejuvenated. But like, I'm a little worried that they've kind of checked out. Like,
I don't think
by the way, Bax, problem I want to have that they get in, and I'm worried about their mental state. But like, you know, it's natural as an athlete just to be like, okay, like our season's over now, basically. How are you going to get now amped back up for this?
House money. That's how you get amped back up for this, Dave Biddle. House money. Nobody thinks they deserve this opportunity. So if it should land on their plate like it will if one of those two teams loses, which, by the way, this is setting me up for the most excited hate watching that I've had since the 2007 season, where we all sat around hoping Ohio State would elevate itself into a championship game. The reality is you are on house money if you are playing Georgia in Atlanta in the first round of the playoffs. House money. And you know what that means, too, by the way? Ohio State's a coin flip against – and honestly, they might be better against Georgia because there's no pressure on them at that point. There's no squeaky bum cheeks sliding together here. Oh, we're so nervous, right? There's no nerves. Go out and show how awesome you are against Georgia. I could easily see Ohio State beating Georgia. And I want to remind everybody here, hey, Dave Biddle, can you remind the peons and the folks of the world and the nutters of the Buck, what seed were we in 2014?
4.
The you tell me Ohio State can't beat Georgia
in the South, Alabama.
A rematch of the century if we go out and we beat out Georgia in the playoff.
And frankly, I mean, all respect to Georgia, it wouldn't even feel like that much of a monster.
No,
Bama is that monster. Like Georgia, all respect to them, the defending national champion. I don't think they're as good as they were last year. Listen, I mean,
Ohio State wouldn't have the mental issues hanging over them.
It's amazing we're even talking about this right now. Ohio State shit the bed against Michigan, but maybe they'll get a chance.
I literally wrote an article calling Ryan Day John Cooper Jr., and I don't really regret a word of it. But you know what? In this world we live in today, Ryan Day has the opportunity to bounce back far quicker than John Cooper ever did if they get an opportunity in this playoff. And I can guarantee you Ohio State players will be beyond fired up, and there will be none of the mental suffocation that comes along with the game against Georgia. I would actually take Ohio State gleefully over Georgia. For all of you who are watching this after reading my column of anger and frustration, none of this is incompatible. Reality is Ryan Day is an exceptional coach. What is he, Dave? 45-5? Right?
45-5, yes, sir. Yep.
Fortunately, 2 of those are in the absolute wrong game. That is a black and white defined success or failure on your season. If you're not one of those Buckeye fans who believe that beating Michigan is the definition of success or failure on your season, then I'm sorry. I don't agree with you at all. That is the fundamental baseline of success on a season. However, I am willing to walk into the gray zone right now. Should we have lost to Michigan in the horseshoe, and somehow we go out and beat Georgia, and then can have the opportunity to win the national championship in a rematch against our most hated rivals, I will feel slightly gross and slightly guilty and slightly wrong. And then I will gleefully embrace the opportunity to right this wrong. If you're Ryan Day, you have to be begging for this kick.
How about Kevin Warren?
I think
he's on. He obviously he knows that he like it's money. But like still though, Kevin Warren like on Ohio State's side saying there should be 2 teams in. Michigan's in no matter what.
I have to say, after a decade and a half of watching the SEC just poop people into the playoff, I am ready for 2 Big Ten teams, folks. I am ready for it. And not only is it 2 Big Ten teams, it's a chance for us to go into SEC country and beat Georgia in Atlanta. Oh, Woody in heaven above, please give us this chance.
Something you would know about living down there. For how long did you live down there? Like 5 years?
5 long years.
What's it like down there?
You know, the Atlanta Alumni Club, and I will quote our president, Atlanta Buckeyes are the best because they are, because they have to live through that crap nonstop on a daily basis, right? Shout out to the Ohio State Atlanta Alumni Club, which goes to the Hudson Grill on Roswell Road in Sandy Springs, Georgia. Love you guys. And I have watched numerous games with 500 plus Buckeyes all the way back to the days of the Great American Pie. And if you know what American Pie is and you're watching this podcast, please comment because I love you. But at the end of the day, my oldest son was born in Atlanta during a Buckeye game in the Sugar Bowl against Arkansas. I know what those Buckeyes go through on a daily basis. I had a guy walk up to me in a bar in 2008 in Atlanta and go, Mississippi State would beat the Buckeyes. Sure they would, Bubba. That's the disillusion they live with down there. The opportunity to beat Georgia in Atlanta in the playoff. Oh,
it's funny. It's funny you talk about that 2010 Sugar Bowl. It counted, by the way. I was in
January 2011. My son was born at halftime.
Jeff Rapp worked with us at the time, so me and Wagon and Rapp are out, and you don't know, people don't know we're reporters. We're just hanging out, and Arkansas fans. We're cool, but at the same time we're talking shit. You know what I mean? They were they didn't know we were Ohio State reporters. They were just knew we were from Ohio, and we didn't say what we did, and they were like, maybe you guys can keep it close. It was a lot of that. This is in 2010, when Ohio State ended up whooping their ass. This is Arkansas. To go to your point, they don't think, they think Northern football, that we don't know how to play it up here. Guess what?
We're in the SEC. Vandy's
how did that work out for Arkansas? How did that work out for Alabama in 2014? And I guys were just talking it was hilarious to me. I'm just sitting there in bars, guys are maybe you guys can keep it close. Well, we'll see what happens. My friends,
yards to the heart.
Broke his arm that game, knocking a guy down. The Buckeyes won the game, obviously. Go.
All I have to say to all these SEC yokels is remember the time Zeke Elliott ran 85 yards through the heart of the South in SEC country back in 2014, actually January 1st, 2015, the year Ohio State last won the national title. I'll tell you guys right now, I would much rather play Georgia 2 than USC. Dave, let me ask you this. Who's more dangerous as an opponent in the first round? Georgia, with a good defense and a very –
Georgia. Yes, I would much rather play USC than Georgia.
Totally disagree.
Defense is soft.
Totally disagree.
USC is soft as diarrhea. Okay? No.
USC has Caleb Williams.
Get out of here. All right, thank you to Matt.
Williams is so good. He's going to score 40 points on everyone. I would much rather play UCA. Than
USC than Georgia. Okay, sure,
100%. Hey, put it up. Do you agree with Team Dave or Team Dave? You would rather Team Dave with Georgia or Team Bax with
who would you rather play? The defending national champions or this team that has a really good quarterback and a good offense, but the softest defense you've ever seen?
He's going to win the Heisman, man. He's untackleable. Did you watch the Notre Dame game?
Boy starts for that defense. Bryson Shaw.
So what? So what?
Ohio State would carve him up.
He's going to score 40 points on everybody.
I mean, so what? Ohio State would carve him up. So what?
Yeah, and we would lose 48-47.
Jeez, maybe they wouldn't
do the pass defense against JJ McCarthy. We have no room to talk.
I was gonna say, I mean, the thing about that is Ohio State was well, JJ can't beat us deep, and they were right, in theory, but you got to mix it up a little bit. The worst high school quarterback can throw to wide receivers that are open 30 yards open.
Dave, are we going to do the whole discussion of what happened last weekend? Because that hurts all of our souls. But
no.
I don't think
we've moved on already. See, this is the end of the show. That's how it goes.
I think at this point, we just say,
if you like the band The Doors, this is the end. This is the end, my friend. And we'll see what happens when the rankings come out on Sunday. But this is the end. Good stuff from Bax. Thank you to all of you. Appreciate you guys joining us for this cathartic version of the Bucknuts Morning 5. Thanks again to Bax. Thank you to all of our listeners. Appreciate it very much. Hope everyone has a great day.